Hello and welcome to another guide. This time is about the character that we have on screen right now, which is a Narberal Gamma, the original version of the character, the SR Narberal, this one right here. And we're gonna take a look at basically everything about the character. We're gonna take a look at the stars, the skills, accessories, relics, awakening recommendations, and then what are my recommendations for relic attributes, relic enhancements, and characters to play with her or around her. So yeah. First off, the basic attributes, we can see that the character has 3 Bs, 1 C, and 1 S. 1 C on defense, so she's very poor at physical defense. She's mediocre at magical defense, speed, and health, but she has an S on attack. One of the few SR characters that has S on attack, which is good. It means that this character can deal high amounts of damage similar to an SSR character. And yeah, this is more like a little bit more than average character in the basic attributes department, at least compared to the other SR characters. Which I mean is good. It's always good. Uh, Now accessories, we can see that tier level 3, this character obtains 5% damage boost, tier 6 is 10% health, and tier 9 is 10% more attack, which is is good. Like overall, this character all in general is good. More attack, damage boost, a little bit of health, so it doesn't get one-shotted. Uh, it goes, into all of her S rank on attack, which is nice. Now, the attack, the skills. First off, the basic attack, nothing special, just certain amount of damage. This character has like a special dialogue when it attacks. That's it. First skill, the lightning. It deals magical damage from 100 to 120% attack, depending on the level. Hitting grants 100% basic chance to inflict shock for 2 rounds on the enemy. If the target is already inflicted with shock, she's gonna hit a random enemy and she will try to target one without shock with lightning with this skill. That means that if she hits someone with this skill that already has shock, she's gonna throw this skill again to someone else, preferably someone that doesn't have shock. But if all the enemies have shock, it's like random. I have tested it before, it's like random. So you can throw this skill twice if you aim it the first time to someone with shock. And using this skill grants attack boost for 2 rounds. That means an increase of 30% on Narberal attack for 2 rounds. But the attack boost only comes with the 5-star upgrade. So not everyone might have this upgrade. Now going to the passive skill. Uh, when she hits a target inflicted with shock, her turn meter is gonna boost from 4 to 6% depending on the level of the skill. And when she hits a target with shock, she has a 60% fixed chance that can be up to 100% fixed chance to max level to dispel one buff from the target. So she can boost her own turn meter to play faster than usual, and she can dispel enemy advantages, enemy buffs, which is really nice. As you see here and on the other skills, I don't have her skills max. That is because I don't play her too much. As you can see, she's just level 60 out of 100, but I have her 6 stars and her arc light is also 6 stars, even when it's just a level 10 arc light. But this is enough, okay? This level of skills, the level of power that she has right now, 16k, is enough for me to show you how she performs normally and how you can perform with her in low and medium levels. In case that you're wondering if she's worth upgrading, if she's worth using for things like the story mode or the demonic tower, maybe the expedition mode. In case that you're wondering, that's why I do these guides to explain the character and let people know if it's worth or if it's not worth upgrading a character. So yeah, uh, I'm not gonna max this character. With what I'm showing you here is more than enough, and you're gonna see later on. Now the ultimate skill, the Chain Dragon Lightning. She deals magical damage from 110% attack to 130% attack, depending on the level. Immediately when she attacks, she's gonna extend everyone on the enemy team shock duration one more round. Usually, shock lasts for only 2 rounds. So if the enemies are freshly inflicted with shock and then she ults, everyone's gonna have a shock for 3 rounds, a little bit more than usual. And if the targets that she's focusing already have shock, when she uses the ultimate, the Chain Dragon Lightning, she's gonna throw Lightning Blast as well. And that is magical damage equal to the number of stacks of shock on all the enemies multiplied by 30% of her attack. In a normal match, this means that if you play another shock team member on her team that plays before her, like I'm gonna give you an example, like SR Entoma, and she puts shock on all the enemy team, usually the enemies are 4. When she throws the lightning blast, she's gonna inflict uh, 4 because everyone will have one stack of shock. You can only put one stack and it lasts for 2 rounds. Every time you put shock again, instead of stacking up like bleed, instead of that, it triggers automatically. So you're gonna have 4 multiplied by 30% of her attack inflicted to all the enemies. On gameplay, you notice this because after the ultimate, she makes like an explosion. She makes an explosion on the center of the enemy team and it hits everyone. This is an area of effect skill, so you hit everyone on the enemy team. It doesn't matter if you're facing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 enemies at the same time. You hit everyone. And well, the damage and the cooldown change depending on your level. This is a very like simple skill set, but it's very nice and very effective. And she also has a captain skill. The captain skill is that enemies with shock have their magical defense reduced by 30%, which for me, at least on my perspective, is one of the best captain skills that you can have. Especially, of course, if you're running a shock team. She's probably the core member of the shock team. Now, her Aura Glide. Her Orglug, the price of ignorance, gives her certain amount of HP and attack and flat amounts, and also increases her attack on a percentage. Her exclusive effect is, in fact, 2 effects that are separated here and here. The first one is that she has an advantage that we will randomly use lightning on enemies. That means that as soon as the game starts, before you can even have a turn or before even the enemy has a turn, she's randomly throw her second skill to a random enemy without wasting the cooldown. So she immediately will throw the second skill for free to an enemy. And the second part is that increases the damage of Narberal to the enemies that have shock by 30%. So you have, if you put her as a captain, you will have a Narberal that inflicts 30% extra damage to enemies with shock, and the enemies with shock also have 30% less magical defense, which is very, very nice because those percentages are very high. Of course, in my case that I have her level 60, you may not really notice that much on gameplay, but when you level her up, if you decide that she's worth it and you try her up, you're gonna notice that increase in damage, especially because she has S on attack. But now, I'm gonna go to the awakening levels. As you can see, I don't have awakening on her. She's on zeros basically, but I have the perfect example here, and it's this one. Exactly how you're seeing it here is how I recommend it for Narberal. As you can see, both of the square slots, the one at level 5 and the one at level 20, have the energy gem attack, the one that increases the attack on percentage. Why? Because it plays into Narberal's strong side. Her strongest attribute is the attack. So if you are increasing her attack by percentage even more, well, what else do you want on the square slot? Because other than that, you have magical defense, physical defense, and so on the round slot for the awakening level 10 and 25. I recommend this one, the Mighty Gem Effect Precision. Increases the effect precision of the character a certain amount, that's it. It doesn't have more to it. Why is good effect precision? Well, because Narberal inflicts shock, and all of her character is based around inflicting shock on the enemy or hitting enemies that already have shock. And how successful you are or Narberal is in inflicting shock to the enemy depends on two specific things. One, how many or how much effect precision you have, and how much effect resistance the enemy has. And because you will never know how many or how much effect resistance the enemy has, the sure, the guaranteed way is leveling up or upgrading the effect precision of your characters. Because the more effect precision they have, the more likely your characters are to inflict debuffs on the enemies. So if you can give her that, that will be really good. The rare slot or the rare gem at level 15 of the awakening levels, I would recommend you the one that gives attack. As you can see, I don't have a lot because the ones that I have I already used them. I will say give her more attack, so it plays with the extra attack percentage here. But if you don't want that, you can use instead the one that increases the speed, because this character is a bit slow. It has B on speed, so she is not fast, but is not the slowest. It's just a little bit slow. So if you can give her a little bit of extra speed, that will be really nice. And can also play with her passive, boosting her own turn meter when she attacks enemies with shock. So you can play her a little bit faster and a little bit more often. And for the exclusive class upgrade, the Awakening level 30, I will recommend this one, the Power Gem Damage, the one that is specialized on mages. It gives an increase of damage boost. If I'm correct, it's 0.8% damage boost at the first level. And then you can upgrade to, for example, 2% or to 3.2% or even more. So the more damage, the better. Of course, because this is a mage class character, is a damage dealer. So the more damage boost you can give her an attack, the better. And the effect precision is just like a nice little extra, so you assure you have, more chances of putting shock on the enemy. Well, now that awakening is out of the way, we're gonna go to the relics, one of the difficult or the hard parts to get. As you can see, I'm using a sunset set on her. Basically the Peroncino set, the supreme one. Well, at least looks like one. Looks like him. And the game gives you some recommendations as well. It gives you Vermare, Crimson, and Sunset recommendations. On my case, I will say that the personal ones that I recommend you are Sunset, Vermare, or Termination. Uh, Instead of Crimson, Crimson only increases your attack when you're hitting the enemy, so you deal extra damage and so. Oh, well, the game also recommends you Execution, more damage to targets with debuffs. I would recommend more here, Termination. If you're going full damage on Narberal, you will have crit on her, so she has a chance of hitting really hard, and you nullify part of the targeted defense when she attacks. And because she can hit extra times with the second skill, and because when she throws the ultimate, if the enemy already has shock, she can perform like another extra execution. Having the possibility of nullifying from 20 to 30% of the target defense is really nice, because she's performing extra damage as a mage, so it's exactly what she wants. Vermari is also good for the crit if you're going all out on her on full damage, and gives you the chance of refunding or reducing skill cooldown one round for a random skill. so she can spam her skills more. Sunset is like uh, the classic set, the one that it's not gonna fail you if you use it. Bermari can fail you sometimes. Sometimes you might want to get the cooldown reduction and you didn't get it because it's only 40% fixed chance. Or with termination set, you might want you know you're going all out full damage and crit, but you're not getting anything else, not a defensive stat or anything, right? And you're depending on landing critical hits mostly. With this one, with Sunset, is more like a guaranteed effect, because instead of increasing your critical chance, it increases your attack, which is what you are sure that you're gonna do. When you have crit based characters, unless you can guarantee this the 100% crit, you're not able to tell when you're gonna crit and when you are not gonna crit. Well, with Sunset increasing directly your attack, you don't have to worry about that, because even if you don't land a critical hit on the enemy, if you don't crit, you still hit very hard. Why? Because you're increasing your attack. The attack is what it plays when you don't crit. So if you have a really high attack, you know that you're gonna hit hard regardless of if the enemy has crit resistance or critical damage resistance, or if you land a crit or if you don't land a crit, or all of that. And the extra or the special effect of this set is that your character will deal 7.5% extra damage for every 20% of health lost by the target. That means that the longer the game goes, if you're winning, the longer the game goes, the strongest your Narberal is gonna become. Because the longer it goes, if you can kill the enemy healer fast, the enemies are gonna be constantly losing HP. That means that your Narberal, from time to time, is gonna be getting extra bonus damage of 7.5% at a time, which is really nice. And the reason why I recommend Sunset more than Termination is because it's like guaranteed that this is gonna give you results. You're gonna have results with this instead of Termination, that you sometimes will get it, sometimes you don't. And the same for Verbari. And also, if you're like me, that you already have a lot of characters that are grid based and so, like Miralvedo, Seshi, Big Team, Entoma, and so, you might have already used all your termination sets on those characters, and maybe you don't have termination set for Narval. Well, Sunset is a nice alternative. Aside of that, now the sub attributes for the relics. These first two that are right here are the ones that I recommend you the most: attack and damage boost. As you can see here, I have critical damage resistance, effect resistance, damage boost, and attack. I only have this one because of the attack and the damage boost. And you can get something like this, for example. Now on the Sunset Plum Plate, I have S on defense, which is not really bad. It's not the best, but it's not bad. I have B on effect precision, A on damage boost, and A on speed. These are the other attributes that I will recommend you: effect precision and speed. And a little bit I'm gonna elaborate about that. As you can see here, my Sunset Longbow has more damage boost, more attack, a little bit of critical chance because it was there, and a little bit of extra speed. The one on the right will be like a way more accurate Sunset Longbow for her. Gives her a lot of damage boost, a lot of attack, and a little bit of speed. Now on the base, you can see that I have a better relic on her: A on critical damage, A on speed, S on magical defense, and S on attack. Yeah, I don't have the best relics on her, honestly, but I have more than enough to give a nice performance with her. The four attributes that I would recommend you to focus on her relics are: always have attack, always have damage boost, effect precision, and speed. Attack and damage boost is obvious because Narberal has S on attack, So the more attack and damage boost you give to her, the better, because she is an area of effect, shock based mage. She's gonna hit everyone on the screen with the ultimate. She's gonna hit the enemies multiple times with her second and the ultimate skill. She's gonna put shock, and the amount of shock that, or the amount of damage that shock deals on the enemies is directly based on a percentage of the attack that the character that inflicted shock has. So the higher the attack Narberal has, the more damage that shock is gonna deal to the enemies. So that's why you should focus on attack and damage boost. Then, as the third, you will, oh well, I will recommend you to upgrade effect precision. Why? Well, because effect precision uh, helps you to successfully land or successfully inflict the shock debuff on the enemy. The more effect precision you have, the more likely that Narwhal is gonna put shock on the enemies, and if you have her as the captain, well, is the more likely that she is gonna be able to lower the enemy magical defense with that. Not only that, but also in case that she is your only shock team member, like you're running a full mage team but not a shock based damage team, well, Narberal being able to put shock will add a little bit of extra damage to that mage team. So yeah, effect precision is really nice on her. And speed, well, because she has beyond speed. Nowadays, or well, on the meta that we have on the game right now, as well as the high level stages of things like the Realm of Shadows, Expedition on Hell difficulty, the events, or for example, the high floors of Holy Ruins and the Demonic Tower, you need characters that are very, very fast. That way you can guarantee the first turn, throw the enemy's turn meter back with Ein's skill, and go for the win. So if you can give speed to this character so it doesn't fall behind and it actually gets a turn, it's really nice. Because it's very annoying when you have a low speed character that you have on the team and you never play it because the enemy constantly stuns your character or steals the turn meter and things like that, and you never get to play it. So give her a little bit of speed. I will say focus attack, damage boost, effect precision, and then speed. Now, as for the enhancements, the relic enchantments, I don't really have many enchantments on her, as you can see, because I just put them to give her a little bit of extra power and so. But Unearing Shot is one of the best that I could recommend you for her. Not only because you're obtaining effect precision with each level, that I already told you why that is good, but also because from the level 6 to level 10, aside of effect precision, you're obtaining more speed, which is nice, a nice little extra to have. Also, let me find it. Oh well, let me give you another example. I'm gonna use Shizu in this case. Uh, for a moment I thought my game crashed. Here it is. If you can give her the one hit kill, that will be really good because it increases the area of effect skill damage. The amount of the damage depends on the level, yeah, but you're upgrading Narberal Ultimate, which is basically the best skill about Narberal. So yeah, if you can focus at least like 2 or 3 levels of one hit kill, you can notice the change when you throw the ultimates. Also, Blade Draw, very nice on her, increases her attack, and from level 6 to level 10, aside of giving you extra attack on plain amounts of damage, it also increases it on a percentage from 8 to 20%. And because she has S on attack, well, we know for a fact that that is really going to be something that is going to be really useful on the character. Aside of that, if you can find Thunder Surge, I don't find it right now. Let me see. No, I don't find it. Let me see if I find it right now. Thunder Surge is another one that I recommend you. Basically, what Thunder Surge does is that when your characters attack an enemy that already has the shock debuff inflicted, they are gonna receive extra critical damage. So what you could do is to play Narberal with other crit-based characters, and with that crit-based characters, you will be able to perform higher amount of damage by dealing extra crit. I'm trying to find it, but I don't. No, I don't see it. I think Big Team might have it. No, for some reason I do not find it. Now, if I didn't find it here, probably I don't have it on my characters. Oh, okay, right, alright. It's fine. I'm not able to show you Thunder Surge, but I explain it to you what it is. Aside of that, remember the enchantments that I recommend are Unirin Shot, Blade Drawn, are One Hit Kill, and Thunderous Surge. Ah, here it is. Look, Thunderous Surge. I knew I had it somewhere. If the target has shock, the target takes 10% increased critical damage. Let me find now what relic is this. This one right here. At level 1, Thunderous Surge increases the critical damage that the target receives by 10% if they have shock. Level 2 is 20, level 3 is 32%, level 4 is 46%. Level 5 is that if the target has shock, the target takes 60% critical damage, as an extra, and 20% increased crit for the character that is dealing damage. So if you combine Narberal, Thunderous Surge, and you give her crit to Narberal, or you give this enhancement to something like Entoma or Aura, the Shock Aura, and throw a critical hit, you're gonna land a lot of damage on the enemy. So yeah, remember, Unirin Shot, Blade Drawn, Thunder Surge, and One Hit Kill as the recommended relic enchantments for her. I know it was a bit messy because I wasn't really showing you all of the enchantments, because I wasn't able to find it until the end. But yeah, sorry for that. At least I showed you at the end. Now, the compositions and themes around Narberal. First off, I will tell you that if you use Narberal at a high level and you give her you give her a lot of effect precision, you could combine that Narberal with any magical damage character that deals crit. So you make a combo. Like for example, you could use that Narberal on this moment. With Narberal, you put shock on the enemy, and you get this moment the Thunder Surge enhancement. That means that when Momon attacks someone with shock, he is gonna be able to do extra crit damage to the enemy, and it combos because he can very easily deal critical hits to the enemies. So from the very start, you could combine Narberal with any magical damage character that deals crit. That means things like Momon or Victim, for example, that is also a high critical damage character. Aside of that, you can combine her with Pestonia. She's a healer. The game considers her one of the Pleiades, even when in the lore she isn't a Pleiade. The game considers her as one, so they can be in a Pleiades team. One of the best characters to combine with Narberal is the SR version of Entoma. This one right here. Mostly because of the ultimate and the second skill. That means the Talismanic Maelstrom, that basically gives her an extra turn speeds her up and gives her more spells combined with her arc light that increases her attack for the next skill after the ultimate. That means that after she throws the ultimate, she gains an extra turn and she's gonna hit harder than usual. You do that and then throw the Thunderbird Talisman. That is basically an area of effect skill that is gonna hit everyone on the screen. It's gonna hit all the enemies at the same time, and depending on the level, you're gonna have either 50 or you're gonna have 100% chance of inflicting shock on the enemy. And she's faster than Narberal, as you can see, A on speed, which means that you can play Entoma first, you put shock on all the enemies with the ultimate and second skill combo, and then you play Narberal and throw the ultimate. And you can deal the extra damage to everyone with the ultimate and the arc light. And then because the enemies already had shock because of Entoma's skills, Narberal is gonna perform the extra explosion of her ultimate. Or if you want to risk it more and make a longer play for higher damage, but you risk that the enemy purifies their debuffs, you can use Entoma first turn to throw the ultimate on herself. She gains the extra turn, then she throws the second skill to the enemies to put shock on them, and then with Narberal, you throw the second skill, because the second skill of Narberal gives her attack boost. So for example, my Narberal has almost 5k attack, almost. But you throw lightning, she's gonna hit someone, the one that you choose, and then she's gonna hit another one because the target already has shock because of Entoma skill, and then she's gonna get the extra 30% attack. So in my case, my Narval would get over the 5k attack threshold. And then by the next rounds that you have of Entoma and Narval, you inflict shock again with Entoma in case that the enemy is purified. And then while Narval has the extra 30% attack, you throw her ultimate because it will do 130% attack of the amount of attack that you have here plus the 30% from the buff of the attack boost. So you maximize the damage of Narberal that way. That's why Entoma is one of the characters that are best combining with Narberal. Aside of Entoma, you can also use the PDL, this one, the Platinum Dragon Lord's Armor. Mostly because of his magic absorption skill, he puts shock on the enemy. He has a chance of putting shock when he hits the enemy, and that's it. Here it is, at 4 stars. Grants 100% basic chance to inflict shock for 2 rounds. So even if one enemy already purified itself, if you have the Platinum Armor turn, you can shock the enemy and get it ready for Narberal to land a heavy blow on that target. On low levels, you can combine her with Kyuko as well, this guy. Mostly because his Lethal Blow also has the chance of putting shock on the enemy, which obviously benefits Narberal for everything we have already said. And if you upgrade this guy, every time that the enemy dies, Kyoko is gonna get extra damage. Well, every time someone dies, even his allies. If someone dies, he gains extra damage. He puts shock, so he's gonna be a heavy hitter on the late game. He's gonna be able to inflict the debuff, and by that, he's gonna be boosting the next Narberal turn when she deals damage to the enemies. Not only that, but you can, because Narberal is a player, you can play her with Yuri, this version, and thanks to Yuri passive, you can make a Pleiades team. And as you can see here, the game labels Pleiades as all of these variants of the characters. It says that Estonia, Sebas, Solution, Cicita, Nave, Lupus Regina, Entoma, and Yuri, all of those characters count as Pleiades. So you can put this version, this SR version on the team as a tank, and any of the Pleiades that the game already tells you there, and you have a Pleiades team. And because of the tank Yuri version, this character passive, when she attacks, she has a 50% chance of having one of the players with the highest attack launching an assist. And when they launch an assist, they're gonna have their attack boosted by 10% of your defense. So if you have, for example, let's say a normal team for the early mid levels. You have Yuri, you have Lupus Regina, you have Narberal, and then you have, for example, Albedo that the game gives you. When Yuri attacks, you have a chance of Narberal dealing extra attacks as an assist because of Yuri, even if you have Lupus Regina on the team because she has Beyond attack, so she naturally will have less. And you have in that composition you have two mages, one tank, and one healer. So you will cover up. So yeah, you can make any Pleiade composition that you want. That means that you can combine Lupin Regina, Yuri, Cicita, Solution, even Kyuku, the Lizardman, and these naves. And these two naves count. This one mainly because Yuri can proc her to make an assist, and aside of that, if you wield the limited nave full critical damage, that means that she's gonna deal extra critical damage if you give her the Thunder Surge enhancement after your Narberal puts shock on the enemy. Like for example here, I could use my Narberal to put shock on the enemies, then use this Nave to throw a hit hoping for a crit, and they were gonna receive 10% increased critical damage because of the Thunder Surge. The same enhancement and strategy could be applied to this Nave, the one with the cloak, the one that you gain for free on the game. And because of her skills, here it is. Uh, Mostly when enemies are low on HP, she deals extra damage and she has increased critical chance, which is nice. So she's a finisher, and she also has a chance to inflict shock on the enemy with her second skill. Not only that, but with this skill, with the ultimate, if you combine the ultimate at level 5 with Narberal, you have another combo because the damage dealt by Lightning Bolt increases 15% per enemy inflicted with shock. So if you use your Narberal to inflict all the enemies with shock, let's say 4 enemies with shock, when this Nave comes into play and throws the ultimate, she's gonna have 50% extra damage per enemy. Let I already said as an example, 4 enemies, you put shock on the 4 enemies. That means that when this Nave ults, she's gonna have extra 60% damage on her ultimate. 60% there. But if the enemy was low on HP, she's gonna have extra percent 25% crit boost, and she's gonna deal extra 25% damage if the enemy was already on 40% HP or less. So you could use any tank, any healer, or any other damage dealer that you want to lower the enemy's health. Use a tank to protect your team. Use the Narberal, the original version, the Maid version, the Inflexible Maid. You could use this version to put shock on the enemies, keep them at 40% HP or less after the first rounds, and then use this Nave, the Princess version, to finish them off and make use of all of that extra crit bonus and crit extra damage dealt to basically delete the enemy composition. So going back to the start, you can combine Pestonia, you can combine Entoma, the SR version. You can also combine Sebas, the Platinum Armor, any Nave version, could be the limited version of Nave, it can be also the normal version, it could be Kyoku, it could be the normal SR character of the Pleiades, their normal versions. And honestly, let me find it. Here it is. You can also combine her with Tsukyu on the early levels, I will say, not on the late levels, because of his passive of increasing everyone effect precision. In case that you don't want to level up a lot of Narberal effect precision, you can use that character for his passive as a support or replacement on that department. And the last one is Aura, Shock Aura, the Ego Revolter version, this one. Basically because of the skill set. As you can see on her passive, each time the enemy shock triggers, her turn meter is gonna get boosted. And when she lands a critical hit on someone with shock, she's gonna have a base chance of inflicting stun on the target. Not only that, but her critical chance increases when she attacks someone with shock. So for example, my aura has 74% crit, and she gains 30% extra when she attacks someone with shock. That means that if I use Narberal to shock the enemies and then aura, she's gonna have a guaranteed critical hit on the enemy because of that. And she's gonna have 25% chance of stunning the enemy. Not only that, but if we go to the next attack, the next skill, each time she crits will immediately trigger shock. Not only that, but she has a 100% base chance to inflict stun on the targets when she attacks. And if she kills someone with this skill, she's gonna redirect the attack to someone else. And if that someone else also has shock, she can crit it again. Not only that, but also the ultimate. She has a chance to inflict shock on the enemy, uh, on both the main target and all the secondary targets, because this is an area of effect skill. Not only that, we'll also go with Captain Skill. If you want a shock team, but you don't like Narberal Captain Skill, you can use this one. When enemy shock triggers, the damage they take increases by 25%. This basically increases the shock damage on the enemies. On Narberal, you're increasing all magical damage that you inflict on them because you reduce their magical defense, but this increases the damage they take when shock triggers. So I will go more for Narberal Captain skill instead of Aura. But you can use both of these characters in a combo. It could be either way. You play Aura first to put shock on the enemies, then when Narberal comes in play, she's gonna deal extra damage, or vice versa. You can use Narberal first to put enemies low on HP and put shock on them. So when Aura plays, she will crit on those enemies, hopefully killing them, or if not, her own turn meter is gonna boost and he's gonna have the chance of stunning the enemies. So they lose a turn. So either way, if you play Aura first and then Narberal, or first Narberal and then Aura, you're obtaining benefits from both versions. And if you want like both benefits, Aura and Narberal benefits when they attack enemies with shock, you can use those two and Entoma. So because Entoma is very fast, so she plays first, you put shock on them with Entoma, and then use the benefits of Aura and Narberal on the enemies. If you want to go like full damage to clear a stage very fast, in low actions because you're playing Holy Ruins or you're playing the Demonic Tower and so, you could use those three and then this Nave as the last one to play. So she kills everyone off in the same round. In 4 actions, you kill all of them. But if you want to play a little bit more defensive, you can decide between which one of the Narberals, and if you play both the Narberals and Entoma, or if you play Narberal, Entoma, Aura, and then a tank. If you want to go full shock team, the Platinum Armor is your tank, because he's the only shock tank, the only tank that puts shock on the enemies. But if you're willing to play other thing, even if it doesn't put shock on the enemies, the one that I would recommend you to play is Tank Sisita, her. Mostly because of the Fire Owl ultimate. When she throws the ultimate, if you successfully put the debuffs on the enemy, you're gonna make them deal 10% less damage, which is good because your characters are gonna receive less damage, and they're gonna take 20% more magical damage. So you're increasing the magical damage from shock and from Narberal. And you can decide if you use Narberal Captain skill to lower the enemy's magical defense by 30% when they have shock, or if you use Sisita Captain skill to increase all of your team magical defense by 15% and decreasing the enemies by 15%. So this one also decreases the enemy's magical defense, but it's only 15%, half of what Narwhal does. But this also increases everyone magical defense, something that Narwhal doesn't give. So if you want to go all out, all offensive, Narwhal Captain skill. But if you are not sure of the enemy stats, how tough the match is gonna be, then you can go Cicita skill, captain skill. So you still have a bit of defense. What I will say is like the most effective shock team that you could use, uh, that is full magical damage shock, is Tank Cicita, SR Entoma. Then you go and play Narberal, and it could be either between Nave, the cloak version, or uh, Shock Aura, the Ego Revolter one. The pros of Aura is that you're gonna almost always land critical hits. The disadvantage is that her hits are physical damage. So the lowering the magical defense of the enemy skill from Shizu captain skill or Narberal captain skill is not put to use during our turn. But you have a chance of stunning the enemies and, landing critical hits, possibly killing them and triggering shock as well. The other side will be Nave. Nave will do a lot of damage to enemies that are low on health. So you can have more chances of successfully killing the enemies with Nave than with Aura. The only bad part is that you are left without a healer, because in that way you will have one ranger, two mages, and one tank. But if you can manage it without a tank, without a healer, that is good. Those will be my recommendations to play with her. You have a lot, but yeah, you could use Momon, you could use Big Team for the combos that I told you. You could use Estonia, Entoma, Aura, Ego Revolter version. You could use Sebas on a Pleiades team, any version of Nave, the Limited or the Princess one, the Platinum Armor. You could use Kyuku. You could use the SR Pleiades. You could use Tsukyu, or yeah, you could go for whatever variation that you want. Could be half a Pleiades team, half a Shock team, or full Mage team. Those are my recommendations. Well, that will be basically all for the recommendations on the guide now. Now is just time for a little acceleration. I intended to publish two guides today, or to upload two guides. One is going to be about this character, and the other was going to be about either the Death Knight or Warrior Cocytus. For IRL things, in real life things, I didn't got the time and I didn't got the silence there because I was in a very noisy place, so I wasn't able to record. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna try to upload the next guide tomorrow to compensate, because I was used to upload every Friday and I wasn't able to do that the last 2 or 3 Fridays. So yeah, you're gonna see this guide, and after this guide, I'm gonna publish the practical guide about Narberal, where I go to the combat arena and to maybe the bosses of the map and play the compositions to show you how it is. And I'm not gonna max her. Exactly how you saw Narberal right here is exactly how I'm gonna play her. So you see that she still works, she's still nice. Even when I'm over level 100 and I'm gonna be playing max level players on the arena, even if she's level 60, she's still useful. So yeah, that is the next part, and then I'm gonna move to either the next guide or another videos until I do the next guide. So thanks for hearing my awful voice and being here, and all of that. And until the next time.